Welcome to the E.A.T podcast. It's episode number 39. I'm your host, Jerry. Tonight, we're going to have a one-on-one interview with the 2003 World Series of Poker main event winner, Chris Moneymaker. In 2003, an accountant from Tennessee played an online poker tournament for about $86 and turned it into a life-changing series of events that even the best Hollywood movie writers would have loved to have scripted. If you play poker today, it's most likely because of the seismic shift that was created by this one poker player in 2003. He's one of the reasons why I play poker today, just like so many others. Phil Hellmuth was a guest on this podcast and stated, Chris Moneymaker is considered one of the greatest people ever for what he did with the Moneymaker effect in 2003. He said people are still speaking today about what happened back then, and because of the popularity that's going on today, it's all because of this one man. And tonight, we're going to discuss all that. Welcome to the E.A.T podcast, Chris Moneymaker.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
How are you? Here. Welcome.
Doing all right. Doing all right. Just been kind of busy. Just got back off spring break with the kids and went down to Houston for a small event. And now back home today trying to get all my honeydews in line. And got basketball tonight. And I might go to Houston this week. I don't know. We'll see.
Beautiful. So let me ask you, speaking of Phil Hellmuth, we had him on the show, episode 10, so roughly, 30 or so episodes ago. And I asked him, I said, if somebody else won the main event in 2003 and it wasn't yourself, would poker resemble what we see today? And he said, no. He said, the Moneymaker effect was huge for poker. I'm so proud of him. To win the main event and be thrust into the spotlight and handle himself so well is so very tough. And to come off the streets and handle himself the way he did, and he's so well liked in the poker world. It's a huge success for our industry, and I really like him on top of it. When someone like Phil Hellmuth, who's considered one of the greatest of all time, says that, what does that make you? What does that make you feel? How does that make you react?
Well, I mean, obviously, you like it when your peers say good things about you, and I've known Phil for quite a while now, and the one thing he told me is that I wish you would have played more after you won, or I wish you would play more poker, and try to get out on the scene and prove it wasn't quote unquote a fluke. And this was probably 10 years ago. He told me this, and I just said, that's not my drive. Like, his drive is to be the best poker player in the world. That's not really what I was after. It's not what I was ever after. And he's right. It is kind of tough when you go from literally I won't say nobody, but like an unknown, like where you're just living your life and you win this one poker tournament and you plan on going back to work, which I did Monday morning. And all of a sudden, you're thrust into this limelight where I'm petrified of public speaking back then. Like, I could not do it. And they gave me, I was getting calls to go on David Letterman and Jay Leno, which people maybe today don't realize, but that was a big deal back.
Oh, it absolutely is a big deal
when we were younger. That I don't even know what that equates to in today's late night talk show. I don't maybe Jimmy Kimmel or something, but no, I did Jimmy Kimmel. It was, what's the new one? That's so bad. I don't even know.
Well, Joe Rogan's got a big podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a big one today in the situation we're in. I mean, as far as Jimmy Fallon, I guess, has a big show. Jimmy Kimmel has a big show. Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. Okay. So it was along those lines, and so they wanted me to do that, and I said no, and all my friends were like, man, you got to do it. That's just it's just otherworldly, life changing stuff. I was like, yeah, but I'm petrified. That I could play poker all day long and have people stare at me and think that I'm bluffing or whatever, and that doesn't bother me. But like when I have thousands of eyeballs or tens of eyeballs on me, yeah, that really bothers me. And so it was definitely a rough learning experience from that standpoint. But everything else, I mean, I was just myself. It's not like I went out and tried to do anything different or really acted differently. I mean, I just went back to work. I worked for about 6 more months.
Okay.
And then I got second in a WPT event in the next tournament I played. And when I got back to my office, the guy that owned the restaurant group I worked for said, if you don't quit, I'm going to fire you. He said, you really don't need to be here. You're making way too much money doing other things. At this time, I mean, I was making a very mediocre salary, and I could basically go earn through appearance money and playing what I was making in a year in a week and a half.
Life changing.
So, yes, life changing. And so he's like, "You just don't need to be here. You're wasting your time." And basically, it's like, "All right, well, I'll find someone to replace me, and I'll train him, and I'll be out of here in 2 or 3 months."
Or at least you don't leave the guy high and dry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
They did me a favor back after I was with a big five accounting firm. I was with Deloitte and Touche, and 9/11 happened,
Hmm.
and everything went to hell. What people don't remember, everything went to hell travel wise. So I was a traveling accountant, and they basically let my whole department go, and so I was without a job. That's when I started playing some online poker, and then they came, or I got a connection, and they're like, we need someone for this job, but we're looking for someone more experienced and someone that has 5-10 years of restaurant experience, I'm applying for a CFO position
Hmm.
essentially, and I'm very young, very green, just been doing accounting for a year and a half with a big five firm. I really was stepping out of my element to get the job, and they took a shot with me, which was really cool. And so to show them that I appreciated them taking a shot. Obviously, I wasn't going to leave them high and dry, and
Okay.
yeah, the
You
rest
just
is
you
history.
you just mentioned, you were dabbling in online poker. Is that how it started for you back then? And if so, when did the transition to playing at a live table happen?
Well, I started playing on Poker Stars and Party Poker back in the day,
Okay.
which I don't even know if, or Paradise Poker, which I don't even know that doesn't even exist anymore.
I don't think that exists anymore.
Yeah, the old grinders might know who that one, but so I started playing there, and
Mhm.
I transitioned to live. I played live in Tunica, which was about a 4-hour drive for the house, but all they had were limit tables,
Okay.
and written on the wall in the room was "checking and raising is not allowed." So you couldn't check raise. It was against the rules. So if you had
Yep.
a hand, you had to bet. And this was not an uncommon thing back then, which is, it kind of blows your mind to see how far this game has come.
Hmm.
But again, it was all limit. Um, my first venture out into the no limit streets was when I won my satellite on Poker Stars to get into the main event. And
Yeah,
I went at,
86 bucks won you
yep,
entry into another tournament, and then you won that tournament, which got you the $10,000 seat into the main event. Is that the correct way it went?
that's the timeline. Yep. I
Okay.
played an $86 tournament by mistake. And then, because back then on Poker Stars, they didn't label everything very well. It was all kind of mixed in together. Sit and goes didn't go off very often. And I saw one that was, 17 out of 18 or 8 out of 9 or whatever it was. And I just jumped in it real fast.
Okay.
And I got into it and I was like, oh, dang, this is a satellite. And at the time, I probably only had 200 or $300 in my account. So, like, playing an $89 satellite was very, very bad for my bankroll management. Playing a sit and go for that matter was not great for my bankroll management. But I've never been one, especially back then, to really give a care about bankroll management. Um, so I got into it and I was like, crap, this is for a satellite. Well, the
Uh-huh.
satellite got me to a 615 that weekend, and that 615 was giving away 3 seats to the main event, and then fourth place was 8,000 in cash.
I heard this story. I saw this online looking up a few things about you. And is it true you tried to lose when you got down to the final four because you wanted the cash instead of the main event entry?
Yep, yep. We were
That's
down five. We were down five-handed actually, and I said we stopped to try to make a deal, and
Mhm.
I said I'll just take fourth place. You guys take the seats. Whoever's left, I was one of the chip leaders, and said whoever busts next, I just want fourth place money. You guys can have the seats.
Mhm.
Well, there was this another player there, and he wanted fourth place money. He didn't want the seat either.
Oh boy.
So we are trying to argue back and forth who was going to get fourth place money and who was going to take the seats, because once you have the seats back then, you couldn't sell it, you couldn't, you
Oh
had to play
wow.
it, you couldn't cash it out, it was a forced seat. So
Okay.
and on back then, I wasn't smart enough, I didn't know that you could go and sell action. I mean, obviously I did to my dad and a friend, but I didn't know there was, I could have probably gone and sold action in the main event even though I didn't know what I was doing probably.
Mhm.
But again, it wasn't a thing. So I just knew I had to go play. Well, we couldn't make a deal and end up getting the seat and obviously go out and changed my world forever.
The bluff of the century, as they put it, and the Moneymaker effect, with two terms that were quickly associated with you in that run. Let me ask you, in 2003, the field was 839 entrants. Do you remember the first table walking into that room, and what was the initial feeling?
Oh, like it was yesterday. Yeah, I got there early, and put my little crystal that this guy gave me on the table and sort of blessed my seat. I'm not even religious, but I still blessed my seat.
Yep.
And was like super nervous, and I sat down right at start time, and there's only 3 or 4 of us there, and I thought everybody else were kind of idiots because they weren't there. I went until later. You find out this is pretty typical in poker. People don't show up on time. But we've been playing for about 2 hours, and I'm playing so tight. I mean, I'm not playing anything unless I'm only playing hands that are in position that can make the nuts.
Okay.
And that's pretty much my strategy. I want to make it to the end of day 1.
Okay.
And about 2 hours in, someone says, "Nice hand, champ." I'm like, "Champ? Who the hell is this guy?" And it got 2 to my right. I have no idea who he is, but there's a wall in Binions where the tournament was held, and they have all the past world champions sitting on the wall. So I just casually, by myself without making a big scene, go over there and look on the wall. And sure enough, there's Dan Harrington's picture, who was sitting 2 seats to my right on my table to start with.
Wow.
So, and I've been playing with him for 2 hours. I'm like, this guy's not that good. He's all right. But like, he's not doing anything special. Like I just imagine like he would have some like kind of like magical superpower because he's a world champion, but obviously, as people know now, we play cards just like everybody else. We play the cards we're dealt. He was playing real tight, but it was day 1 of the main event, so he's supposed to. But I just figured he's some old guy that, just was playing tight.
Let me ask you, does that intimidate you when you realize who that guy is? I mean, obviously you're intimidated, or have this, this feeling walking in there like, oh, I'm the new guy, I'm green, this is a new world to me, my first live event like this. When you see that, you sit back and go, holy crap, that's really Dan Harrington. And then it starts to like click. All right, this guy's a professional. Look at the resume he has.
Yep, of course. And that's why I stayed out of his way as much as possible. I just didn't want to get involved. I picked hands that he didn't raise for the most part. I didn't really fold any like monsters that he had raised, but like if I had any kind of questionable hands, yes, sir. What's wrong? We get a splinter?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get it out as soon as we're done, okay? Hey, put a little Band-Aid on or something so it'll just sit still. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'll get it out for you. I'll get tweezers and get it out. It might hurt a little. You shouldn't have got a splinter. So anyways, yeah, it's a little intimidating, but I had 3 other people at my table that had on patches from different online sites. And I was asking them who they were and how they got their seats. And there was a guy that he won like the millionth hand dealt on some site, and he was like a 50-cent dollar grinder. I'm like, oh, I'm better than that guy. And then there's another guy from wearing Poker Stars patch. We became really good friends. His name is Crazy Canuck, but he was one of the most highly respected online players at the time, which honestly didn't say a whole lot because online players back then were considered terrible poker players. We were second-class citizens. We didn't really know how to play poker. We were playing checkers, and live players were playing chess. I mean, we were really looked down upon as, not real players. And to be fair, the majority of us weren't, because we're all just brand new to online poker. We didn't spend a whole lot of time playing no limit. Like, you couldn't find no limit games back then. They just didn't exist outside of, maybe Vegas and a few other, but there were no big tournaments. And people don't realize, there were no daily tournaments. There were no tournaments. Right now I could probably travel to 10 different cities across the US and find a no limit like a big no limit tournament. $600 plus.
You can find big stakes right now.
Right. You can find a daily tournament in every casino you walk into. None of that existed. The casinos were shutting down poker rooms.
That's crazy just thinking about that right now.
Yeah, I played a poker tournament in May, the World Series. And then I didn't play another one until February of the next year, which was a WPT.
Wow.
Now, there were probably 2 or 3 between that time, but they were very spread out. It was not something like what we have now where there's just tournaments all over the world. It was tournament every 3 months.
Hey,
And
let me ask you, was there ever a discussion with the family after the big win? Like, hey, let's move to Vegas and make this a real, a full-time gig for me in the city where I could play wherever and play all the names and have everyone come hunting after me because I'm the winner. Was there ever that discussion with the family when you finally got back home after the big win?
well, after I got home after the big win, there was a big discussion. It was my wife at the time decided that she, you know, when I was a traveling accountant, she hated it. She wanted me to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be at home. I liked the traveling aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so when I became a poker player, she's like, "No, this doesn't work for me."
Okay.
So we were young. We started dating in high school, and we had just grown apart. Things weren't going to work anyways, probably. So um, we ended up splitting apart, and I found my current wife, and um, she was real supportive of everything that I was doing, and I don't know, it was just a really good fit. And
So that's
we've
why
had
things never changed. That's why the move was never done. You never wanted the big spotlight, or the big spotlight never just came to you
well,
like
no,
that.
well, I mean, we talked about moving to Vegas. We talked about moving. Like we've had discussions throughout the years about moving to a lot of different places. I mean, we looked at moving to Vegas for live poker. I looked at moving to New York, New Jersey area because of online poker.
Mm-hmm.
Because of with my sponsorship with Poker Stars, that's where you can play legal online poker. But things just happen for a reason. We've stayed in this area. We've stayed in Memphis. It's
Mm-hmm.
never been because I wanted just to go play poker. I could care less about playing a lot of poker. I played enough anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I can always find a game.
Yep.
And then as I was, recently we were during COVID, we were looking at moving up to Pennsylvania, New Jersey area for online with Poker Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And then America's Card Room came along, who is my sponsor now.
Yep.
And I decided that I was going to leave Poker Stars to come to America's Card Room because I was able to do everything that I was doing from my house here. And I was able to represent a company that was growing, that was evolving, and really valued poker, where Poker Stars had started going into more of the casino and sports and things like that, which is fine. It's just the nature of the business. But I definitely wanted to be with someone that was growing in the poker space, and it was a little bit small. I like the smaller atmosphere, which is what Poker Stars was when I won. I like
I
being
was
able to call the CEO and having a conversation and finding out answers of why what if something went wrong, why did it go wrong,
Mhm.
and having input on the company.
So you're affiliated with America's Card Room. I was looking them up actually before we went live, and they accept Bitcoin. Is that something that attracted you to them? And are you in the crypto stock space? Is that something that attracted you? And are you involved investing wise as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they got into crypto like when it was like $200, so they've been around for a long time in crypto. I got in about 2016 or 2017. It was $2,400 a coin when I first made my first purchase into Bitcoin. Um,
Well, it's a lot more than that now.
yeah, no, it's definitely a lot more than that now, and but I probably like a lot of others. 2017 happened. We all saw huge successes, but I got a little greedy and decided I would venture out into the altcoin space in
Mhm.
2017. And then, for people that don't know, 2018 was a bloodbath for everything, including
Yeah.
Bitcoin. But altcoins got decimated. So, um, going forward, I decided that it was going to be pretty much all Bitcoin for me from 2019 on, and that's pretty much where I've stayed. Now I've ventured out into some small altcoins that I really believe in,
Okay.
but outside of three different bags, I own just basically Bitcoin. So, and I'm not going to try and find the next 100x. I chased that dream for a little while, and I thought that was fun. But yeah, it's just stay with the blue chips and just ride it up and down.
Okay. I want to get back to poker for a second. We had Jeff Platt on the show. Obviously everyone in the poker world knows who Jeff Platt is, the big announcer.
Yeah,
He's
you
great.
guys must have really been like hurting for guests or something.
I'm gonna
I
have
mean,
to tell Jeff about that.
was no one else
Hey,
available?
we had Jeff Platt twice. We've had Phil Hellmuth once. We've had Daniel Negreanu once, and yourself. I think I'm doing okay.
So you had Jeff Platt twice before you even invited me on. I don't know. I might have to hang up this interview right now. Jeff Platt, does he have like naked pictures of you somewhere or something like that? Good
Oh, I
Lord.
wish Jeff was here. Oh, that's great.
I'm glad he's not.
Well, we had him on the show and we discussed with him a Mount Rushmore of poker, and your name came up. Now, for me, you're on my top 4 in the Mount Rushmore, and the reason why is because you changed the landscape forever. You might not have the bracelets with the big boys. You might not, have the amount of money and total wins like a Negreanu or somebody else like that. But as far as changing the landscape, and we just touched on that, where now an online and a in-person daily tournament is a thing of every day, where it wasn't back then. And the fields went from 839 to 2,500 to 5,000. That whole effect and whole landscape change, I put you up there with the big boys. You're on the Mount Rushmore for me. Who is on the Mount Rushmore for you? Give me 4 names.
Well, I mean, one that's just, I mean, he's got to be there, and he's always going to be there. It's going to be Doyle Brunson. I mean, he's the guy that really, I don't know, he probably created the damn game. He might, he's the godfather of our sport, I guess, or game, or whatever you want to call it. So he has to be on there. And then from there, it definitely gets tougher because I mean, you have people like Amarillo Slim. He was huge back in the day. He was on Johnny Carson or Johnny whatever the big talk shows back then. He
Johnny Carson
really,
was a big show back in the
yeah,
day,
he was
way
on
before
those
me.
shows. He was on those shows back then and really did a lot to grow the game back in those days. And he faced some controversy and stuff. So like he could definitely be on Mount Rushmore, and people that probably would never put him up there, but people don't understand the history that he had with growing the sport, similar to what I had currently. Then you have someone like Stu Unger, who is many consider the best ever.
Yeah.
And he probably was just born a generation too early, or was a time traveler or something, because he was playing how we play now. He was playing back in the 90s and 2000s. It sounds like I never got to play against him, but then you advance forward. Everybody that talking Mount Rushmore wants to put everybody post my win on the thing. They want to put Phil Hellmuth, Daniel Negreanu, those guys up there.
Yep.
And I don't want to argue with those guys. I mean, they're both very worthy people to be up on that mantle. But like for me, it would be Doyle. It would be E.A.T Schoenberg, who started Poker Stars.
Okay.
I think more than anything, he created online poker. He revolutionized it. He got it to where it was, and he was one of the ones that created this poker boom. So it would be Doyle and him, and then I would put Henry Orenstein up there, who created the whole card camera. Without him, we wouldn't have whole cards. We
Wow,
wouldn't.
you went a whole different way with this, and I love it. These are names and things that people they're not mentioned. Obviously, the whole card creator is huge now. Look at it.
Yeah, I mean, without these things,
Yeah.
there is no moneymaker effect. There is no poker every day. It just doesn't exist. So now, granted, someone would have created this camera. I mean, this was going to happen at some point, but he was the one that did it. So he's gonna get the credit. And then the fourth one, I mean, can we have one of those electronic ones that change the face constantly? Because that's where I would put like the Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, myself, people that have had a lot of positive impacts on poker and helped grow the game. But like it's really hard to pick one guy, and I would definitely go different than most people on those.
So as you're playing, you had the whole look with the hat and the sunglasses, and now that's a look that everyone took because of you. Where did you get that from? Was that something you saw somewhere else, or did something you picked up day 1 or day 2 and you just went with it, or how did the whole hat and sunglass look come about?
Well, I was a baseball hat guy. I've always been a baseball hat guy, so the hat was just normal. I mean, back when I was that age, 20 years old, I wouldn't go outside without a baseball hat on. I had 50 of them sitting around the house, and I always had one on, so that was just natural. But my buddy bought the sunglasses for me. He said, "Hey, these guys can look into your soul and see what you have." So we developed a plan that I was going to wear my sunglasses and then count to 5 seconds before I
Okay.
made any decision, and that would eliminate timing tells, and we're trying to level out anything that could give away information. Timing was one that online, like when you're playing online, especially back then, you paid attention to a few things. It was
Hmm.
betting patterns, betting sizes, and timing tells. That's all you had to go on, and that's how I knew how to play. And so, I wanted to limit my timing tells. I wanted to live. I didn't know how much I was going to give away visibly,
Hmm.
but I wanted to limit that as much as possible. So that's where the sunglasses came in, and that's where my buddy went out and bought them and said, "Here you are," and he bought my first pair of Oakleys that I wore that year.
And let me ask you, as the tournament's playing out, and obviously you're moving to day 2 and day 3, when did you have an inkling that winning this thing or even getting to the final table what was possible? When did it dawn on you? Like, all right, was it a big pot against somebody big, like an Ivy or Helmuth or somebody? Or when did you have that inkling where you're like, all right, I can play with these guys, I could win this damn thing, or I can get pretty damn close?
Okay, again, poker was different back then. So there was only three poker players I knew by name.
Hmm.
I knew Doyle Brunson, Phil Hellmuth, and Johnny Chan. I knew
Okay,
Johnny Chan from the movie Rounders.
great
Um,
movie.
yep. So those are literally the only three names that I knew.
Hmm.
Um, hell, on day two, a young black kid moved to my table with a bunch of chips,
Hmm.
and I just started licking my lips like this is some young kid. Like back then, old players were the people that you said kind of were a little bit afraid of, that the experienced players. These young guys,
Yep.
I mean, I could beat the young guys because I was a young guy, so none of the young guys scared me at all. His name ended up happening to be Phil Ivey, but
Hmm.
um, to me, he was just some young kid with chips, and those were my chips. Um, so he didn't even scare me. It wasn't him. It was really when I thought I had a decent chance, and I really was like, you know what, I can do this. Is the hand that I knocked out Johnny Chan. I
Okay.
mean, he's obviously, considered the perfect poker player, guy that is just, fearsome at the table, like the guy you just don't want to. And he was two to my left for day two and day three.
Hmm.
So, worst position, one of the worst positions on the table. And when I knocked him out, that gave me a lot of confidence on day three that not that I could win, but I could make a deep run because, if you can knock out your idol or the one of the three names that you know in the game,
Hmm.
then obviously you can play with these guys. And that gave me a lot of confidence.
Okay. Now, in 2019, you were inducted into the Poker Hall of Fame, and where does that rank for you as far as your poker resume? Is that above the World Series main event win? Is that on the same level? Is that slightly below? Where would you rank that? Because I mean, obviously, it's an accumulation of all the things leading up to that. Where would you rank that? Is that the greatest thing you've accomplished in poker?
I don't know. See, I guess I just see things differently than people. Can you tell me where the Hall of Fame is?
Good question.
Um, yeah, I can't either. So, like, winning the main event, poker wise, is like, hold on one second. My phone's ringing and it needs to be turned off. It's up here.
Okay.
Um, Winning the daily tournament at a local casino might be here.
Okay.
Being on the Hall of Fame is like way the hell down here. It doesn't even like hit on my radar. It means less than nothing to me. I got a steak dinner out of it. Was about the best thing that I got out of it. And I'm sure there are some people that just want to be in the Hall of Fame, and that's awesome.
For the title.
But the title, whatever. But I don't know. To me, it just never really made a whole lot of sense. I don't know where it is. Don't know anybody else that's in it. I mean, I know that Phil Ivey and Dana Negreanu were in it just because they got inducted recently, but I couldn't tell you many other people that were in it. Doyle's in it, obviously, but I mean, I don't know the qualifications really
Hmm.
that well. I don't know, most of the people that would be in it. There's no place that I could go to and like see the Hall of Fame. It's not like you're going to Canton and looking at the Hall of Fame.
I guess I should
Um,
have some WSOP or some other executives on next after you and arrange that because honestly, you're right. There's no physical place where you could go and see a display or felts or shirts or hats or sunglasses or anything, cards,
I want. I don't
any
even know
kind
if.
of
Hold
memorabilia.
on. Hold on. I want to see something. I don't even know if you can search online and find out who's in the damn thing.
When I looked you up, I want to say I think you were the 60th person that was inducted.
Yeah, see, I don't even. So it was founded in 1979. Well, let's see. So yeah, there is a list of people that
Yeah.
made it in. And I mean, it's funny because as you look back and you talk about the Mount Rushmore or whatever, I
Yep.
mean, you look back and I can't probably name half the people on this list. I don't know any of these. Like, there's just so many people. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some of the newer names like Ellie Lesra, people know yourself.
I'm gonna
You know,
know everybody after me. I
yeah,
mean, but
Phil Ivey, Todd Brunson, Carlos Mortensen, Jennifer Harmon, John Juan. We know all these names.
yeah.
It's
So
when
like
you go.
1997, Roger Moore. Like they don't even have in 1998, 1999, or 2000s. Like, did they just never put anybody in those
They never
4
put anybody
years?
in. Then, yep.
So that doesn't. I mean, why would you go 4 years without putting anybody in? That obviously this is not something that you're just dying to get into, and they don't even think to have the ceremony for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then for what? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, they only put one person in. So it's not like this is some standard thing. In '88, for some reason, they put two people in. They put Doyle and Jack Treetop Strauss in,
Mm-hmm.
but then they go back from there and they don't put any. It's all one person every year. And then in 1979, they put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They put in 7 people in 1979 for whatever reason.
That's when it
They
started.
Yeah, they put in Wild Bill Hickok, which, I mean, is that guy? I mean, I thought he might even be not even real. Who knows? Um, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's like I'm in there with Felton Corky McCorkindale. I mean,
So
yeah, no,
it doesn't rank up there with the other stuff, and I can see why now that not that we joke about it, but we joke about it. We say, who are these guys? I could see why it's not a big thing. If it was a physical place where you could go and spend a day, it would be something different.
correct. Yeah, if there was any way of enshrinement or recognizing your accomplishment, I guess, then yeah, it would mean a lot more. But
So the poker community has been great at times and has been dark at times as well. Black Friday happened what, about 11 years ago or so. What was your initial reaction when you saw that the government froze everything and poker sites just went kaput overnight?
oh, this is gonna suck for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually moving houses and we just got our internet set up and I was logging on and I got the
Oh,
FBI message up and so I called up at the time Esai and I was like, what's up? What's up with the site? How long are we down?
yep.
Because I'm thinking, a day, 2 days, a
Glitch.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. This is gonna be a passing thing. And he's like, we don't know anything, just don't say anything, just sit tight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sitting tight ended up being a very long sit tight. And so after, the first week, you started realizing that this was going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first week comes and you found out I'm getting phone calls from people saying, hey, do you have money in Full Tilt? I'm like, no, I'm Team Pro. I wasn't allowed to play there. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, all right, good. They're going under. And I'm like, what? No, what do you mean? They're not going under. They're the second biggest online site in the world. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean they're going under? I was like, yeah, they don't have the cash to pay people. And that's when you really start like, oh, this could be bad.
Yeah.
Like, this could be the end of poker, as we know it. Because when we've had obviously some sites that went under and really damaged the poker community, but a site like Full Tilt going under would be just disastrous for the
Yeah,
poker
the two big
community.
boys, Poker Stars and Full Tilt, back in the day, with them going under, you were like, all right, this is some serious stuff. This is, no one thought that those two would go under ever. With
Yeah.
the crowds they had and the pros they had and everyone playing every night. I mean, I remember playing back on those
Yeah.
sites back in the day.
And Poker Stars didn't go under. They were fine. They did everything they were supposed to do. They had the money and they ran their business really well
Mhm.
and they survived. And they kept, I was a pro for another, what, 9 years. And I would still be a pro today if I wanted to be. I just decided to leave on my own.
So there was no ill will when you left. You left on
No,
good
not at
terms with
all.
them.
I still, I have a lot of friends at Poker Stars. Poker Stars is a great company. They do everything right. And the only reason I truly left was one, I just didn't want to move up north.
Mhm.
and two, I wanted to be with a smaller company that was a little bit more focused on the poker aspect and was growing. And that's what Poker Stars was for so many years. They were focused on poker, and they were a smaller company and they were growing, and now they're this huge corporation. But they do a really good job. I mean, they're still, if not the top in the world, one of the top 2 or 3 sites in the world. And I wouldn't tell anybody that wants to play poker. Poker Stars is a great site to go play. But I'm going to direct you to America's Card Room first, because I
Of
think we're
course.
doing a fantastic job, and I think we have a lot of things going for us. But I mean, I think with any of the 2 sites, you're going to be perfectly fine, and your money's going to be safe. And that, at the end of the day, that's all you really care about, is a fair game and your
Mhm.
money's safe. And both sites are going to offer that for you.
Let me ask you, as sports betting and online gambling is becoming legalized now across state after state, it seems like on a daily basis, another state is picking up the betting world. Do you think poker will ever be fully available online across the U.S. like it was back then?
Well, this is the problem with poker, and this is what really gave me pause. This is before even sports took hold. Sports was talking about it. Um, Politicians, I've spent a lot of time in Washington lobbying for legalization of online poker.
Hmm.
And what a lot of politicians and people don't understand is, unless you have a multi a mass quantity of players to pull that are playing at the same time, you can't generate enough revenue to move the needle.
Okay.
So you take a state like New Jersey,
Hmm.
and you put them out there and you legalize online poker. That's great. But New Jersey only has 400 or 500 people playing on the site at any given time.
Hmm.
That's not going to generate enough revenue to make other states pay attention. Um, Michigan, all these other states that
The
are
less populated states aren't going to even have that 500 or 1,000 or whatever that number is that they're
correct.
looking to have.
Correct. So, and if you're not going interstate where you're combining player pools
Hmm.
to generate bigger events and getting people to the sites, well, you're just not generating the revenue that you want to see. Where with sports, obviously, they're generating, it's a one player thing. You place
Yeah.
bets. And it's a lot easier to grow. There's more sports bettors out there than there are poker players. It's a much faster hold than what poker is. So the states get to see immediate money.
Hmm.
The, the states don't get to see the money from poker until you start making it intrastate and start
You
sharing.
you need a big bang. You need
You
10 states, 15 states to come online all at once, all
you
linked
need a
and
New York, you need a California, you need Florida. Pennsylvania was a good one that's got a pretty good size state that's going to
Mhm.
have some good numbers. But again, if they're not all pooling together and sharing the resources, then you're not going to move the needle. And that's the problem with poker is, you know, it's hard enough to win at poker as is.
Mhm.
When you start talking about, states taking their cut off top of, the sites taking their cut. I mean, it gets really difficult when you start splitting the pie up so many times that, the one person that's going to get squeezed is going to be the customer at the end of the day.
Always
So,
happens.
poker, I mean, I'll be honest, it's going to be hard to get poker legalized across the 50 states. It
I'm
just
still
doesn't.
hoping. I'm still hoping. I used to love back in the day playing on those sites and having fun.
That's why I gave up the dream of that and went with what I believe is the best option, which is a Bitcoin site like America's Card Room,
Mhm.
where I can play against anybody from America or anybody from around the world. That's the way poker's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Um, Diesel. I have 6 dogs and they just want to go crazy, but this is the worst one. Um, so yeah, I mean that's the reason I went with America's Card Room. They have everything that you could want, what Poker Stars had back in the day, and I really believe in the company and really believe in the growth pattern that we have. So I'm real happy to be there, and hopefully everybody gets on board and starts playing. I mean, we have 30,000 players on the site at any given time, so we have
Yeah,
the
that's a good
quantity
number.
there. Obviously, I just want to continue growing that number and get more and more game varieties and options for players.
In 2021, you were very outspoken about PayPal, and I don't know what you can say about this or not with how things played out, but apparently they confiscated your funds, froze your account for 6 months, And then you went online with your story. It became a viral thing where people started talking about it, retweeting it, and eventually the funds were returned by PayPal for you. And with all that happening, about 50 or 100 people or so came out and said, hey, this has happened to us as well. And that led to a class action lawsuit being filed by a number of people that were having some issues with PayPal. Are you still involved in that? And can you tell me anything about it? Or is that kind of a hush hush thing with things still
No,
going on?
it's not hush hush at all.
Okay.
I'm actually not part of the lawsuit anymore because they paid me my money back. I
Yeah, no,
mean, you know,
you were taken care of, but after you were taken care of, a class action lawsuit sprung up with other people, correct?
well, yeah, I was leading the class action lawsuit. I was the first one that went and hired the attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, it wasn't designed to be a class action. I hired an attorney because I was pissed off and I wanted to go get my money from PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
And the attorney got into it and he's like, wow, there's something really here. Like they're doing, uh, you know, unlawful business practices. They're breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, we can probably turn this into a class action suit if you're interested. And I said, yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
I want to mess them up. I want to, this company is criminal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're the worst. I mean, they will take your money for no reason, hold it, and then just confiscate it. Um, they had no reason to take my money. They didn't know what my money was for. That wasn't even my money. It
Mm-hmm.
was 11 other guys that were in my fantasy pool. I was just holding the money because someone has to hold the money to make sure it's safe, and I was
Yep.
just the guy holding it. Well, when it came time to pay, there was no money there from. I had to go into my own bank account and pay. Um, no goose, just all ducks.
That's a private chat.
Yeah. Someone's asking if I have a goose, but no. So it just popped up on our window.
Just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So no, I want to make these guys pay, and so I started tweeting about it, and we got thousands of people reaching out to us, charities that have
Mm-hmm.
had six figures stolen from them, legitimate businesses have their money just confiscated for no reason. It's amazing the amount of people that we've had reach out to join the class action suit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started tweeting more and more about it, I guess PayPal got the heat, and all of a sudden I got a message, money has been returned to your account. And
So they
sure enough,
they got wind of it.
yep, they caught wind that this was becoming a thing, so they gave me my money back. And that's when I was like, went on and said, thank you for doing the right thing, but you know what? I already told you, and I sent him a tweet like the next day. I was like, listen, either give me my money back or hell's coming with me. I'm going to come after your company, and I'm coming full bore. I don't give a hell.
Mm-hmm.
I'll burn the place down to make what's right. And they didn't respond, so I was already started on the path to the class action suit. And even though they took care of me, there's thousands of other people that are going through the same thing I'm going for. They just don't have the social media voice that I do.
Yep.
So that's not right. It's not right because I have a social media platform voice where I can get my money back. These other people can't. And these other people are doing it. Mine was outside of the scope of what they want as a customer, being fantasy football, even though they
Mm-hmm.
take DraftKings and FanDuel and all these other,
Oh yeah, I'm sure they have their hand in the payment processing for online gaming and sports books and
I mean, they
casinos and
process
everything. Yeah.
everything for
Yes.
DraftKings.
Yep.
Which is, they, as long as they get their cut there, they're fine. But yeah, there's so many other businesses and again, charities that have had their money just straight up stolen by PayPal. So even though I haven't suffered any damages from PayPal and I got my money back, I decided to stay on as a lead activist or advisor or whatever you want to call it to help grow the awareness of it and to get more people involved that have been wronged by PayPal. So they've created a website now. They've got, you can contact the law firm directly. The only bad thing I will say, and anybody listening that's had a problem with PayPal, you can go to my Twitter, which is C Moneymaker. The law firm's in my pinned tweet.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is this stuff takes time, and people will send over a message to the law firm, and then they want to know, hey, what's going on? Well, it just doesn't work that way. Anything
Not
with
an overnight
lawyers
thing.
involved, I mean, this is going to be a very long, drawn out process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any updates. I've asked for updates. They said they're still filing the forms and going through whatever. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the stuff that goes on.
Mhm.
They told me up front this is going to be years. It's not going to be something that's going to be fast.
Okay.
And so yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, that's the negative is I don't know how long this will last. I don't know if it'll help anybody, but I'm going to do everything I can do to make PayPal pay for what they've done to myself and to others.
Okay, I just got a couple more questions real quick, and then I'll get you out of here. I know we're under a time constraint. If you could play a final table with 5 other people, dead or alive, who would they be?
I would go find the worst 5 people I could ever find and put them on the table with me. I don't want anybody that's good. Give me the worst 5 people in the world. Now, if we're playing, if it's just
I'll be there with you then, because I'm not a good player.
all right, you're invited. I love it. No, if it's for money, then that's what I'm doing. If it's for like uh, entertainment or knowledge or something
Mhm.
like that, then it's going to be Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, and uh, let's go President Clinton.
Wow. I think you'll beat them.
Yeah, I will beat them. That'll be the bonus. I actually make more money that way, probably too.
And not a bad bunch of guys to take some money from either.
No, there's a little money in that room.
Hey, the World Series of Poker is moving onto the Strip this year. What were your thoughts of that, and will you be playing at this year's World Series of Poker?
I mean, I think it's a great maneuver. The Rio was I never liked the Rio. It's off the strip a little bit. It's tough to get to. I just never liked the venue.
Mhm.
It'll be nice to have it on the strip to where you can get to it easily. The parking is going to be a problem, but I mean, they have the rail system that goes up and down. You can walk from other places and
Yep.
take Ubers and taxis and whatnot. So I don't think that's going to be a big issue as people think. Myself, yes, I will be playing the main event. What a lot of people don't know, and this is what Helmuth was talking about, is when he said he wishes I would play more poker tournaments. When the World Series, for people that don't know, is about 55 or 60 events spanning the whole summer. So when Helmuth says he has 16 or 17 or how many bracelets he has now,
He's at 16 now.
16. Okay, he starts May 31st
Mhm.
and he plays every single day, every single tournament till July 17th.
Mhm.
That's how long every single day there's going to be 2 events, maybe 3 events, and he plays almost every single one
Mhm.
because he's in the chase for more and more bracelets. That's what he likes. That's what he wants. That's what his career aspirations is. Where I go out and I play 3, 4
Mhm.
every year. I'll play the main event. I'll play 2 or 3 others, and then I'll come home. I mean, it's really hard when you have a family, you have 3 kids at home to tell them, okay, I know you kids are out of school, and I've been traveling a lot, playing throughout the year. But
Mhm.
now that you're out of school, Dad's going away for the whole summer and going to go sit in a poker room and grind every day. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a parenting aspect. And
Family comes first with you. I
yeah,
get that right away.
so I just never really had the desire to go out and play. The year after I won, I did have a plan to go play all the events.
Mhm.
I got out there and, this is when me and my ex were, basically separating. And so I just decided to go out to Vegas and, and play.
Mhm.
And I was out there and I was miserable. I didn't like playing every day. I didn't like sitting there all the time. And I just said, this is not for me. I'm not going to go grind every single day playing tournaments. It's just, I didn't enjoy it and I would have been burnt out. So I pick and choose the tournaments I want to play. I pick and choose the locations. And when it comes to the World Series, I just play the main event and 1 or 2 others, and I'm happy doing that. It's actually better for me, and it makes it to where poker's still fun for me 20 years later.
It's not
Um,
overkill.
yeah, it's not overkill, and I'm balanced. I spend enough time at home. I spend enough time doing other businesses. I spend enough time doing all the other things I want to do in my life, and I still get to play poker full time, essentially.
Okay. And finally, where can we see you playing next? Obviously, we can see you on America's Card Room, like you've mentioned, but where can we see you in person? Do you have any live appearances coming up in the next, short time from here?
Well, I'm going to London for a conference, for a gaming conference. That's
Mhm.
about my next trip. And then as far as poker goes, I'm in talks with maybe going down to a small room 3 hours south of me for a little Philadelphia. It's the Million Philly or something like that. It's down in Philadelphia,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yep.
So I might go down there and play that in May. And then, but other than that, it'll be the World Series main event. I probably, I won't play a big live poker tournament. And it's, what is it now? It's March 22nd, and I won't
Mhm.
play one until July 4th.
Okay.
So, I'll play a lot online. I'll play a couple cash games here and there. Like I just got back from Houston. I might go up and I've got some other businesses I'm working on. But as far as like a big, 10,000, or bigger poker tournament, I got nothing in the plans until the World Series.
Okay. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for coming on. I can't thank you enough. This was as a poker fan and somebody who watched you back on ESPN back in the day, and that Moneymaker effect was definitely responsible for me getting involved and playing the way I play. I mean, I play here and there. I'm not a recreational
So wait a
guy.
minute, hold on. Before we stop, I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
You say I'm responsible for the way you play.
You're responsible for me playing, meaning me getting into the game.
But you just said you're responsible for the way I play, is what you had just said. And then not 5 minutes ago, you said I'm terrible at poker.
No.
This is the timeline. You said I am a horrible poker player, so I will be in that group of 5 bad poker players. And now you just said I'm the one that taught you how to play.
Hey, you know that you have to bluff a little bit, right?
Which one are you bluffing at?
I'm horrible.
So you didn't learn from me then?
No, I didn't learn from you.
All right, continue with your epilogue.
I want to thank you for coming on. Listen, as somebody who watched you play back in the day and getting me into poker because of the success that you had, I want to thank you. Having you come on the show and discuss things with me for almost an hour is great. It's up there for me with the other interviews I've done. It's bucket list, and I really want to thank you for coming on. Thank you very much.
So hold on. So I want to rate them real fast. So like Phil Hellmuth, Jeff Platt, Chris Moneymaker, or
no, I wouldn't do that.
So Jeff Platt's down here, maybe. Chris Moneymaker up here.
Sure. Can I put you guys all on the same level? Would that work?
No. You can put Hellmuth up here, and you can put me right here.
I got to put you second, though.
But Platt's got to go way down on the bottom.
Platt's got to be below Negreanu on the list.
I don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to put Platt above Negreanu, I'm not going to argue. But I mean, we got to have some kind of like barrier there between me and him. And by the way, I'm never coming on your show again because you just basically said I'm the worst poker player ever. I taught you everything you know, and I'm on the same line as Jeff Platt. So I hope you enjoyed this hour because this is the last you're going to get. Yeah. See, my dog's even pissed now.
Oh boy. Chris, thanks a lot for all this. This was great. To follow Chris on Twitter, it's at @CMoneymaker, and to follow him playing online, it's americascardroom.eu. Chris, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
That's it.
Wow, that was great. All right, so Chris Moneymaker, 2003 World Series of Poker main event winner. Bucket list interview for myself. Russ is now available to join the stream. Russ had prior commitments with the early start, but now that we are roughly around 7 o'clock Eastern, we're going to bring him on. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Good. Yeah, I had a prior commitment with a fucking burrito.
How's it going?
It's going good. The rash cleared up.
Oh, beautiful. So, yeah, Chris Moneymaker, 2003 World Series of Poker main event. Funny guy. Definitely enjoyed having him on.
Yeah, you just insulted the fuck out of him.
No. All right, so some NFL news and some NHL news, and Major League Baseball is back in spring training. Let's start with football first. Your Colts bring on Matty Ice.
Yeah.
38 years old. What's he got left in the tank? There's a good sign, a good trade, a good maneuver by them.
I'm pretty happy about it. I didn't even think this was possible. I'm not saying it's definite we're going to win a Super Bowl, but he's definite upgrade over, even with his age, over Carson. He's definitely not going to make 15 fucking left-handed throws this year. I'll tell you that much. He's much smarter with the ball. Obviously, yes, he's older, but now you give him a better line than he had in Atlanta, a better running game. And what do you call it? We led the league in takeaways last year on defense. I think we were ranked in the 12th or 11th. So we got, a decent defense to deal, to work with as well, as far as getting the ball back. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I guess I was kind of rooting for, Baker, because I really didn't want Jimmy G or Mariota. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. Well, I mean, Jimmy G's not ridiculous, but I can't stand him. I just don't think he's that good. I think Baker, for me, he's the same as Wentz. Okay. He has the talent, but he makes the dumb mistakes playing hero ball. But I at least see fire and emotion in Baker that you didn't see in Wentz. But with the whole Matt Ryan thing, listen, you got a smart QB that's been an MVP. He's I've been to a Super Bowl. We don't know what happened with that one. But listen, you give him some weapons now. I know I saw kind of laugh. I wish Odell Beckham wasn't hurt, because he tweeted out this morning that this was a great move for the Colts, and after me, he was like, "Shit,
he'll probably come."
I wish you were healthy, but I'm thinking you got to think there'd be a connection to Julio Jones. I mean, you don't know what Julio has left in the tank, but considering what went on, you got to think that you could get him for really cheap on a prove-it deal to say, "Hey, listen, you want to try to prove it, see what goes on?" Definitely need to add something. Michael Pittman's like, I would say, like a wide receiver 1B. He's not the 1A yet. He's getting there, but we definitely need some weapons to add on to Matty. But I think I feel much better going forward with Matty over the course of the next 2 years than I do Wentz. And what do you call it? They paid his roster bonus.
Yep.
To get him, so they knew that, but they ended up lowering his cap hit to $28 million, which is actually lower than what Carson Wentz's cap hit was going to be this year. So technically, we saved money, which is funny, and we dealt Atlanta will have $40 million in dead cap hit this year. That's because crazy. Of this deal, the highest in history. And the dead cap money record before that was from Carson Wentz trading him to getting him from the Eagles. They retained his money. So Chris Ballard, I don't want to go into, I don't want to totally suck him off yet, but he's responsible for the newest dead cap hits in history, getting other teams to take it on. But I still want to see more, though. He's been a little too patient. This was a solid move.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm pretty happy. I would have been okay with Baker considering the options, but considering what what was going on out there, I don't think he could have asked for better for Matt Ryan without, spending 8 million picks to acquire a car or whoever.
With Deshaun Watson, who went for 3 firsts, a second or 2 seconds, and like a fifth.
Yeah, it's the same. We got Ryan for a third, and I think we traded Wentz for a fucking third. So it was like the same shit.
So they also, I'm just reading that according to ESPN, the Colts restructured the final 2 years of Ryan's deal with a $53.9 million left on it being guaranteed in some form. So yeah, now the money's guaranteed. Everything is coming to him.
Yeah, it's not my fucking money. But like I said, by doing that, it lowered his cap hit. And like I said, it was over the next 2 years, it was lower than what Carson Wentz was going to get. So realistically, we saved money and got a better quarterback.
So Ryan leaves Atlanta, goes to Indy. Marcus Mariota slides right into Atlanta, signs a 2-year deal there.
Yeah, what are they going to do? I mean, listen, they got Calvin Ridley and Patterson, but
Ridley's not playing though, right? Isn't he suspended for gambling?
Yes, that's right. So
I mean, they're a team in flux. Yeah, they're hurting next year.
I have Marcus Mariota, which I mean, listen, I didn't know what to say.
It's a clown show. It's an absolute clown show.
I think he's good for come in, throw a couple balls. That's about it. But I don't see anything. But anyway, you got 2 years of Ryan, and I think you look to
win now for the Colts.
You look to either trade for a young prospect quarterback, or you draft one, and then we have Sam Ehlinger, who we drafted 2 years ago. But who knows? This, like I said, he's got 2 years on his contract. A better offensive line. So as long as he stays healthy and we protect him, I think this is could be a good thing.
There's a few dominoes left to fall, though, in the NFL as far as the QB story goes. Where is Jimmy G going to end up? Obviously, that's, the San Francisco relationship has soured or run its course.
Where does Baker end up?
And where does Baker go? Because now that you got Deshaun Watson there, you're paying 2 QBs. Let's not even forget Deshaun Watson signing a mega contract to go to Cleveland. I guess that's the money was had to be the deciding factor.
Here's my question, though. Deshaun Watson goes to Cleveland, but you just cut Landry.
Yep.
You don't have what weapons do they even have? You got what? David and Njoku at tight end, which I kind of like, but I mean, he's not a.
You don't got much.
You don't got a top tier. You got who's their fucking running back? Is it Hunt?
Oh, it's why am I drawing a blank now too?
This is the dealings of doing online fucking. I'm all over the place now. Doing live podcasts, you get mind blanks.
Hold on. Nick Chubb. That's who it is.
That's right. I'm a fucking asshole.
Yeah, Nick Chubb.
He's good. But other than that, I couldn't think of Nick Chubb. Jesus Christ. Shoot me now.
Long day. But yeah, I mean, the weapons aren't there for him. So, I mean, honestly, being one of the best QBs in the league, when he gets on the field,
I mean, did
he's
they
cut elevate
Landry to make space for Watson and think that they start over? Or did they cut Landry not thinking they were getting Watson and starting over, now going, fuck, we shouldn't have cut Landry.
We shouldn't have cut him. Now
I'll take him. Listen, give me Landry. Give me Landry with Michael Pittman and Julio Jones on like a.
You're not going to revisit OBJ in Cleveland, that's for sure.
That'd be fucking hysterical.
You're not going to revisit that.
Well, I heard rumors of Antonio Brown wanting to go to Cleveland.
Another one.
Still wondering what we're going to do with T.Y. Hilton. I mean, listen, he was great, but he's over the hill. It's probably his time, but if he's still going to play right now, we have no receivers. It's Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman. So, Matty does need people to be able to throw to. You can't just throw everything to Pittman.
Yeah.
So.
And also, finally, in the QB carousel, Jameis Winston did return to the Saints on a 2-year deal as soon as all this Deshaun Watson and Matt Ryan and everything else, all that movement was going through.
I think a healthy Jameis is. I think he'll be all right down there.
He was 5-2 until he got hurt.
You got Kamara down there running back. You got Michael Thomas at receiver. So you got a few weapons there. Who else is out there? Trying to think that's still a free agent. Does Fitzmagic come back somewhere and throw some magic around for an early injured QB? I don't know. Wonder what happens with him. I think Joe Flacco's even still floating around.
No, Flacco just re-signed with the Jets. The Jets brought back Mike White, Joe Flacco, and they have them backing up.
The legend of Mike White.
Wilson, who was the greatest thing since sliced bread for a week or two for the Jets.
Yeah, what he put 500 fucking yards and whatever, 5 TDs.
He beat the Bengals. I mean, they were world beaters at that point. All right, so moving on, let's get to some hockey quick. The NHL trade deadline just happened. Russ, what are your thoughts on the moves our Rangers made? They definitely shored up the bottom 6 with the flurry of moves yesterday.
Very happy. We got Braun from Philly, which
6th or 7th defenseman is what I'm seeing.
Physical stay-at-home guy. I'd really like him to replace Nemeth, but
looks like he's going to replace Snyder because of the position they play, the side they play.
But the funny thing is that we really needed a left-handed defenseman. We go out and grab another righty. But he seems to be high praise of the some Flyer fans, and they can be overly critical, so that's a good sign. Andrew Kopp from Winnipeg.
Yep.
Great signing if we re-sign him.
Unless he's only making $3.7 million this year. So when he becomes a UFA, how much is that number going to go up? Is my concern off the bat.
Yeah. What do you call it? Yeah, that's the other thing too. But then again, if he ends up replacing Strome potentially, because he's very good at faceoffs, then he's got 54%, which some people probably like, 54%. That's actually a very good number for a faceoff guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he can put up some decent points. So he had a team that really, at this point, didn't have that many weapons, but so who knows what he would do up there. We added Vetrano from Florida. Really nice deal. He can put a couple points up here, but then again, he was buried in the bottom 6 on a stacked Florida team. We just added fucking Claude Giroux, which is ridiculous. Listen, it's funny is you would think Tampa would be the most feared, but shit, Florida.
People are saying Florida and Colorado have the best complete team from top to bottom.
They probably
in
do.
The league.
They probably do. I mean, listen, that lineup is freaking. You got Hornquist is on like the 3rd or 4th line.
They're stacked. Both teams are stacked.
What do you call it? You get that kid Lundell playing out of his mind, and you got the goalies rolling. Speaking of goalies, I kind of laugh. Marc-Andre Fleury gets traded to Minnesota last night, and fucking Talbot puts up a shutout. Talbot says, "Hey, fuck you." But no, dude, Barkov, Huberdeau, they're all that team is honestly they have built a juggernaut.
Huberdeau's leading the league in points. I mean, look at the numbers that guy put up. He's been on fire.
I know the. He's not leading the league, McDavid.
He's up. Well, he's up. No, he was leading the league a couple of days ago. I think McDavid might have retaken the lead, but he was.
But either way, I know they had the Ekblad injury, but they're still solid. They're really good. Them and Tampa don't scare me as much as they did anymore. Obviously, Vasilevsky gets hot, you're fucked. But what do you call it? Florida and Carolina are just out of control, dude. The other night, we were very lucky to win. Very lucky to win.
That game against Carolina, a 2-0 Ranger win with Georgie in net.
Yeah.
Crazy game.
44 shots and completely outplayed us, and somehow we walked away with a 2-0 win. So I don't see us if they play like that. I don't see us beating them in a 7-game series.
No, the Carolina will smoke them if they play like that.
But
definitely playoff atmosphere though with the backup goalie and with Igor in net. I don't know how worse or how better it could be. I mean, Georgie played a great game.
Yeah, you can't listen to us. We figured that was a showcase game for the trade deadline, and he goes nowhere.
I wonder why he wasn't moved. Maybe the first round pick didn't come, or whatever pick they were expecting. Maybe the offers weren't there.
I don't know I don't know what's going through his head too. You know what's weird to me too is the relationship too with him and Igor. I don't know if it's just them or not. Like after every game, you see everybody hugging Igor.
They're a tight group, Russ.
And Georgiev just goes over and is like, "Hey, good game, peace." It's very, very weird. Which I wish I had the clip here, but
they're a tight group. But you got that whole superstition thing. You don't want to affect the mojo. And
it's just about their attitude, the way they look after games. That Georgie, it's almost like he wants nothing to do with giving Igor a hug or a pat. He just taps him and goes. But
maybe it's a thing that they do on purpose. Maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe there is something to it. Maybe he wants to be a full-blown starter and he knows it's not going to happen here.
I mean, what do you call it? Maybe there's like a Bulgarian, Russian fucking, internal war going on. I did like Igor the other night after he won and Reeves had fought, and when Reeves went to Igor gave him, that was kind of funny. But what else did we get? Tyler Mott.
Fourth line player.
I'm not crazy familiar with him, but apparently he's well loved. Seems like he's just a high energy, just throw the body and good fourth liner.
Mm-hmm. And Carolina made a move for Max Domi.
They got that's
Rackle.
Yeah, but
teams around us did make a few moves.
From a Rangers perspective, though, I look at it as we kind of took, McKegg, Gauthier, I guess Hunt. Even though
Hunt's in the starting lineup tonight.
But for the most
social media hates that guy. That is the whipping boy of social media right now.
I don't necessarily. He doesn't do much for me. However, I think that's because he's not a second liner.
No, he's not.
He's a fourth line guy. I think if he's on the fourth line, people wouldn't shit on him as much. But in the end, I see Gaudreau's playing fourth line center. I'd probably prefer him. Gaudreau.
Well, I think Rooney will slide back in there when he's not hurt.
Yes, and I'm hoping Gaudreau would jump up and take Hunt's spot, or even see what happens with Hedl, whether you want to replace him as third line center.
Well, when Kakko comes back, when Rooney comes back, I hope they have a game or two where this team can play with a complete set of lines the way they want it to go into the playoffs and see what they can do the last week or so of the regular season before the playoffs start.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if you come back, I don't know, I'm fucking lost tonight. If and Kakko comes back, personally, how plays well in the second line with Strome and Panarin. I would think a really great third line would be Kopp, Gaudreau, and Kakko. I think that would be really nice.
Yeah,
I think that would be a third line, especially with Gaudreau, who's a workhorse.
Yeah.
I think that would be a third line that could definitely set you apart from other teams and not have you, rely, especially see how Kopp plays. And I can't take credit for it, but somebody put it on and says, let's see what kind of Kopp we get. Good Kopp or
Good
bad
Cop or
Kopp.
bad Cop. Yep.
But
I'm looking at the standings real quick, Russ. I got to say, the Atlantic, you got Boston is now 1 point out of second. You got Boston at 83 points, Toronto at 83 points, and Tampa at 84. They're all behind the Florida, obviously, but that's going to be a race now, the final 20 or so games to lock up the 2 and 3 seeds there. And then obviously the team that loses out will be a wild card spot.
yeah, I'm looking right now. I think we were, like 20 points up for a playoff spot?
I think the playoffs in the East are set. I don't think the Islanders or Columbus
No, we got 85
breaking
points.
in.
Columbus is the first team out with 67. I mean, we'd have to basically lose out.
Yeah, they're
got
13 points behind Washington. I don't think that they're coming back from that.
Yeah.
The playoffs.
The funny thing is we are 3 points from first place in the Metropolitan, and we are 5 points from the second wild card.
It's
Tight.
getting tight.
It's tight.
It's getting tight.
Tight like a toy gun.
Hey, have you seen the Gong Show that's going out in Vegas right now? They give up Fleury for, as Negreanu said on the show when he was on, they give up Fleury for nothing. Literally nothing.
They become I don't know, really quickly.
What's going on out there?
I think that GM's an asshole. I mean, listen, you fired Gallant when they were still winning, only in second place, and now, I mean, half your team's injured. You keep playing this IR cap game.
Yeah, Mark Stone's on the IR. This guy's on the IR. I mean,
Bob Heagley.
Go Panthers, Bob Heagley.
You keep Robin Quivers.
But yeah, it's a complete Gong Show out there. I mean, honestly, what's going on in Vegas?
Ever since it's almost like they traded Fleury, and it's been like just bad juju.
Yep,
just bad juju. Leonard gets hurt. They don't trade for
Eichel's got a wrist injury, can't take faceoffs now.
Yeah, at least another goalie. You got Mark Stone now want to come back off. You have all these people injured.
Yeah, they got like 9 guys or 10 guys out injured.
But I don't think they did anything wrong with the Dadonov thing. I think that was more or less on the
whose fault is that? I
don't think it's. From my understanding, I was reading Frank Cervelli earlier that when the trade call happened, going from Ottawa to Vegas,
it was never mentioned he had a 10-team list.
He was saying that it was not only NHL, Vegas, and the NHL were under the impression that with the trade call that protection list had expired, that it wasn't valid.
Okay.
So I don't think the league isn't faulting Vegas. I think it's just I think something got lost in translation or lost in paperwork, or maybe his agent fucked up. I don't know. But now I'm reading stuff about even when the trade was actually because it didn't go through before 3 p.m. or some shit, and that even if he does get traded, he may not be able to fucking play under certain conditions.
It's crazy.
We can't make exceptions to talk to the Players Association, and say, listen, what do you want to do here? There was a huge mistake.
Has the trade even been finalized yet? It's been 27 hours since the deadline. Has the trade been rescinded, or has it gone through?
No, it hasn't been finalized. Pending,
right?
They still say they don't have a timeline of when. So the other thing too is they turn around and say, all right, listen, we're going to allow you to work a trade. You have 2 days or something. I don't know. Are they going to force to say, listen, these are the rules, you guys?
I thought I read that there was a cap compliance issue as well.
Yes, because Mark Stone, if he's healthy, he has to come back, and that puts them. That's why they were trading him, because it was a $5 million cap hit.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's a complete gong show out there. Fleury then gets traded from Chicago to Minnesota for what, a second round pick, conditional pick. It turns into a first if they make it to the conference finals, I believe.
That kind of surprised me, but
that's a hell of a pay for him. And listen, I like Talbot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a former Ranger. You posted a shutout last night. I like the guy, but when you go make a move for Fleury, you basically just put him on ice. That's it. I mean, Talbot's done.
Our buddy Sean won't be too happy about that. He's a big Talbot fan. And the fucking thing is, Talbot was an all-star this year. He just kind of the second half of the season he hasn't been playing so well. So, but that's why I kind of laugh is they trade for Fleury. Fleury's on the bench last night. Talbot pitches a shutout.
Yeah. So we got the Rangers and the Devils playing right now. Just under 16 minutes to go in the first. There's no score. Russ, a big matchup. Tampa, Carolina tonight as well. You got Washington playing St. Louis and Pittsburgh playing Columbus. All those games have playoff implications with the Rangers.
It's big.
Obviously, let's go Columbus. Let's go St. Louis. And let's just hope for a regular end to the Tampa Carolina game. I do not want to see a 3-point game there, and I'm sure that's going to happen anyway.
I don't think it's going to fucking matter. Either one. Tampa used to be first for being afraid of. Now it's Carolina and Florida and then Tampa.
Hey, did you see that the Toronto Maple Leafs are wearing a Justin Bieber designed alternate jersey?
I did, and it looks like a big copycat of what the Sharks did.
I'm looking at it now. It's a black jersey with a dark blue sleeves and a dark blue Maple Leaf logo. I like the old school Maple Leaf logo. I gotta say that's one thing they do right. I like that as opposed to the traditional, regular look as they've had in recent years. And then they went to a black and yellow as well as what I'm looking at as well. A next gen type jersey is what they're calling it. I don't know. I guess it makes money. I guess younger fans like it. The NHL thinks it attracts new people.
I don't understand the black and yellow thing. So
yeah, I don't know.
What does that have to do with Maple Leafs? No fucking idea.
Hey, your Mets re-signed Pete Alonso today to a 1-year, $7.4 million contract. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not. What do you call it? Was that like a fuck? The hell, $7 million.
1 year, $7.4 million of last year arbitration.
Okay, wasn't this his last year of his rookie deal or whatever? Or, I don't fucking know.
Alonso's coming off a season where he led the Mets in every major batting category: hits, home runs, RBIs, average, and on-base percentage. And Tuesday was the deadline for teams and their arbitration-eligible players to submit numbers. He's entering his 4th season, and it's his first year of salary or arbitration eligibility. So I guess they're going to have him go to arbitration for another year or two before he hits UFA.
All right. Darius Leonard, my Darius Leonard on Twitter, already trying to recruit Julio Jones.
I think it's a good signing for them if they get him. They're going to get him on the cheap. You're absolutely right.
It's not going to be expensive, and you might get a little chemistry. And like I said, I think he's got something to prove that leaving, after what happened last year, definitely want to prove something. And like I said, he ain't going to be expensive.
No, not at all. Have you been following the NCAA bracket? Is your bracket busted?
Okay, I didn't do a single fucking bracket. And the once North Carolina fan in me hasn't even watched a single game all year.
Hey, I gotta say, I did one bracket. I did one. And I have North Carolina going to the Elite 8. I had them going to the Elite 8.
Normally I always watch a handful of games each year. I follow what's going on. Dude, I couldn't even tell you fucking half the shit that's going on.
Well, I'll tell you. Kentucky lost as a 15th seed.
I know that. I know the basics. I know St. Peter's is making a run for the ages, but
that busted everybody's bracket when Kentucky lost. I think ESPN put out a story that there were 11 brackets left out of several million that was still in place to be perfect.
Yeah, and I see UNC knocked off top seed or whatever they were, not top seeded, but knocked off Baylor.
Yeah,
that was a big upset. I saw Michigan taking down Tennessee, shit like that. So I'm still totally, sort of paying attention, but I just haven't watched. I don't know.
I'm plugged in on this for the final Mike Krzyzewski run. I just want to see if he can run the table here and leave a champion.
Fuck Duke.
I know you don't like him. I know you're a UNC guy. I know.
You smacked him. Fuck Duke. Duke's like one of those. Duke's not as bad, but Duke's like along the lines of Notre Dame, like the Cowboys and the Patriots. That when they lose, America wins.
Let me ask you. So obviously, as a New York guy, the Cowboys and the Dolphins, the Jets and Giants fans hate those teams. As a Ranger fan, you hate the Islanders and the Devils. Is Duke up there for that? with you? I know being a UNC guy, you love in North Carolina back in the day. Do you have that hatred for Duke? Or did you? And now it went by the wayside?
It's probably by the wayside. I could, fuck Duke, but the hatred isn't so strong as I'm not into college basketball as much anymore.
Uh-huh.
I still got my Jordan North Carolina jersey, though. Don't fit, but I still got it.
Listen, that man's the greatest of all time. You know what? I think I might still have a Grant Hill Duke jersey somewhere in the house.
I have here. It definitely don't fucking fit. It's a Jason Kidd California jersey.
Oh, wow.
It's like a size fucking large, and I think I wore that in like junior high. And
well, you'll wait for your kids to grow into it then. That's all. they can wear it around the house. All right. Well, I think it's going to wrap up episode 39.
You got any scores yet? No scores.
No, we got no scores. I just looked. You got 13 and a half minutes left in the first. Rangers, Devils, no score.
Hey, we tell them Ranger game.
There's no score across the board in all those games I mentioned so far.
All right. And what we got? Ross, Maple Leafs, Jersey. Okay, then we don't play again till
the weekend?
Friday. This is one of the rare few times we actually have more than a day break.
And then it's a lot of on, off, on,
then we
off.
Go Pittsburgh, Sabres, Pittsburgh. Oh, Pittsburgh a couple times.
They got Pittsburgh 3 times in the next 16 days. So that's going to determine a lot, I think, right there. They just played a 1-0 loss against them a few weeks ago. So we'll see how things fare with the 3 matchups against Pittsburgh. That'll determine if the Rangers can catch Carolina or if they're going to be in that third or even that wild card spot for the playoffs.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, but that's going to wrap up episode 39.
Oh, wait.
Whoop.
Make us a bit of Jad. 1-0 Rangers.
There we go.
What? She did?
We don't talk politics on the podcast.
It's not funny, though.
I'm not. I wasn't laughing.
What do you mean you weren't laughing?
You were like, oh, she did? Jerry's laughing.
I'm laughing because of what I said, not because of what you said. One of these nights, we're going to get your wife on for a show, just for fun. One night when we're all drinking, we're going to go live at like 10 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be fun, I'm telling you.
Should do like a live Jeopardy session and watch the fucking mouse running the wheel.
All right, that's going to wrap up.
Spell the letter Q.
I want to thank Chris Moneymaker for coming on the show. That was a great interview. I can't thank him enough for coming on for 50 minutes. Rusty has his kids basketball game, so we're under the time crunch, and we had to start the show at 6.
I didn't know he could see the private chat when the
the minute that sprung up,
when the white dog was under the table with his tail up, it actually looked like a fucking goose's neck. I was like, does this motherfucker have a goose?
Yeah, it was great. And I got to get to Jeff Platt and find out what the story is there. But I guess there's a little bit of teasing back and forth between Chris Moneymaker and Jeff Platt. We'll find out what that's all about. It's going to wrap up episode 39.
Wait, next week, Rich O2.
Right. That's right. We'll tell you all about that on Twitter. Follow us at the E.A.T podcast. Follow Russ at WrestleMania 61 and myself at Jerry with the mic. Until next episode, we'll see you then.